open up this here. Now, the instructions I put here, read all the instructions first. It's 2 pages. You're going to go through the instructions. So before you start working on anything, I want you to read through the instructions. You're going to choose dinosaurs as you go through, do some research. And it's very important to look at the data sheet that you're going to be putting your data in. And if the dinosaur does not have one or more of the data that you need, then do not choose that dinosaur. And I repeat, if it doesn't have all the data you need, don't choose that dinosaur. So when I open up this dinosaur sheet, this is the instructions. So this is not what you're going to turn in. This is just what you're going to read to follow the instructions, and you're going to turn in your own data sheet. So once this is open here, you are going to read through the instructions. Hopefully it opens quicker for you. I'm going to turn my camera off so that maybe it will go a little bit faster so we don't have the lagginess. So dinosaur data. This thing here is for you to learn a little bit about dinosaurs and to continue the knowledge of our Google Sheets. So here we have the Google Sheet. You're going to be creating a sheet that looks like this one here that has headers on it. And you notice that like the dinosaur name column is wider than the other columns. So you might have to even change the plant or meat column, make it a little bit wider. The other ones could be maybe a little bit narrower. As you start putting data in, you'll see how wide your columns have to be. Remember yesterday I showed you about widening columns to make them so that they match whatever the text is in there, so we don't have overtype mode and that kind of stuff. So you're going to, once you set up your sheet like this, it has 10 rows to fill in, 1 row for your header row, so there's actually 11 rows. And then you're going to go to this link, this zoomydinosaurs.com site. And when I look at the instructions on this sheet, as you scroll down, that's the site it goes to. You go to and tells you information about them. Then on the second page, instructions, they're going to be looking for this 93 dinosaur information sheets link, because this sheet that we go to, this page has a lot of stuff on it. And then you're going to find information on 10 dinosaurs, and you're going to put that information in on your sheet. So here, and it says here, if you come across a sheet without an EQ, don't use that dinosaur. So if you have a dinosaur you find that doesn't have an EQ or doesn't have the height, or it says here, height, the length and the weight. If you don't have one of those things, then we can't put that on there. Average EQ, you look at that, and then of course plant or meat. So when you go to the dinosaur page and it says to scroll down and find 93 dinosaur information pages, that's the link right there. So when I click on that, it takes me to a bunch of ads and stuff. That's how they keep this thing for free. So I scroll down and I have a bunch of dinosaurs. Well, these dinosaurs are in the A section right now. We're looking at the A's. So if I pick my acanthophallus. So I picked the acanthophallus. Let's say I picked that one, Ariana, and I scroll down and I start reading about it. And I notice, okay, what are the things I'm looking for? I need to have the name, which I know. I need to have the weight, the length, the average EQ, and the meat or plant. So when I go back there, let's see, of course, I have his name. There's his name. I scroll through real fast and I say, okay, here we go. Looks like he's about 15 feet long. So I have my length. Looks like he says he weighs roughly 380 pounds. So I've got my weight. That's good. And then I need my EQ. So I read through it, and here he is, intelligence. This is the EQ. It's intelligence quotient. And he was an ankylosaur. So that would tell us how it was made, or how it was figured out what his EQ is. So he's an ankylosaur. So I look down here, and is there anything about, there's ankylosaurs right there, the ankylosaurus. So the ankylosaurus, this was their EQ. So when I look up at the top, that looks like it's between 0.4 and 0.6. So the average there is 0.5. So I've got his EQ. So I know his name. I know his weight, I know his length, his average EQ was 0.5, and then I just find if he's a plant or a meat, go back to that, and I can, his diet, says about his diet there, tells me he was eats a large plant material, so I know he was a plant eater. So that one works. So I can use that dinosaur. So that's good. So I jump back, let's jump to maybe, so let's say the S's, and I go to the S's. And I go down and let's find it. I'm going to go to the saltopus. Let's try the saltopus and see about him. So I look through him. Okay, looks like he was 2 feet long. So he got the length there, weighing about 2 pounds. 2 pounds. He's a small little guy, like a puppy. So, okay, we've got the weight and the height. That's good. The length and the weight, I mean. And then his diet. Here's his diet. Says he was a meat eater. All right, that takes care of that part of it. Looking through and just scanning through. I'm not spending a lot of time right now. I don't see anything about his EQ. So if I don't know his average EQ, then I can't use this dinosaur. So I'm not going to use that one. So I'm just going to skip that. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. We only have a couple days to do this, so I don't want to spend a lot of extra time on a dinosaur that doesn't have any data that I can use. Let's jump back to the end of the whole dinosaur list. Let's go to Zignosaurus. It's a Zig, oh, Zig, Zigana, Zigongosaurus? Zigongosaurus from the Zigong, China. Okay, so let's see. It looks like he's about 20 tons, so he got a weight. He's about 35 feet long, so I got his length. This is good. His diet, he was an herbivore. Know what that means? He eats plant. Okay, so I got that. Riley, you with us on this? I want to make sure you're paying attention to this stuff, not being distracted. And then scroll down. Here's his EQ, his intelligence quotient. So it says that, like the Zignosaurus, uh, and it says these two were stegosauruses. So then I can scroll down and see, do we have anything about stegosauruses? There's stegosauruses. So I can see stegosauruses, and I can see that his EQ is right up here, just under 0.6. So that's probably 0.55. So I've got all my data on that one. So I could put this one in my chart. So you want to make sure that you go through, and you're going to learn about these because you want to read about them when you pick the dinosaur and you have the data. So then as we scroll down and we read the instructions, you're going to fill out the table, fill out your chart, and then you want to look at your information. Now, this is important. This is where we have to actually do some problem solving. This is where we get into our communication part of the program. What relationships do you see? So look at your dinosaurs. Are the plant eaters versus the meat eaters, the weight and the length versus their EQ? What are some correlations that you see? What are some trends? Are all the big, huge, long dinosaurs have the same kind of EQ? Are all the big, heavy dinosaurs the same kind of plant or meat eater? I mean, what are some things that are some similarities so you can deduce? So then you could start looking at other dinosaurs and say, well, 2 or 3 of these things match these dinosaurs, so it's probably going to be the same on the other thing. So we are looking at some correlations. So some of you, it'll be pretty easy. So you're going to focus on the chart itself on the spreadsheet, making that jazzed up. It's showing your skills there. You're not going to make a document. You're making a Google Sheet. Now, this is the important thing. Just like I was saying yesterday, when you make this Google Sheet, you're going to go into your Google Drive and you're going to go into your GMS folder and into the year you are, expand that, and into the class. If this is a Digicom class, you're going to be in that class. And then once you're in that folder, looking at your path here, that's where you're going to go ahead and make your Google Sheet. Then you go to do your new Google Sheet, make your new Google Sheet. And once you create the new Google Sheet, you're going to make it look like this here. You're going to start tweaking it just like we did yesterday. If you need to review that video on how to change your column widths and your row heights and change the font and that kind of stuff, you can go back and review that stuff. But you're going to make it look like this before you start doing your research.